Hello, my name is Robert Mandelbaum, Director of Research Information Services for PKF Hospitality Research, a CBRE company. I am pleased to announce the availability of the 79th annual edition of Trends in the Hotel Industry. Trends is our firm's annual survey of hotel operating statements from properties all across the United States. The 2015 report examines the performance of U.S. hotels during the year 2014. Despite a 4.9% increase in operating expenses, hotels were able to achieve a 12.3% increase in net operating income during the year. Now let's examine how U.S. hotels performed in an environment of rising revenues, yet increasing expenses. 2014 was another year of growth for U.S. hotels. Over 3/4 of the properties in our sample enjoyed gains in both revenues and profits during the year. This is yet another example of how widespread the prosperous times are for all segments of the industry. Total hotel revenue for the properties in the sample grew by 6.9% for the year, led by a strong 7.3% increase in rooms revenue. Unlike the past few years, in 2014 we saw healthy increases in revenues from sources other than the rental of guest rooms. Benefiting from a 3% increase in rooms occupied, the properties in the sample enjoyed increases in sales in both the food and beverage and other operated departments. Resort hotels, with the most diversified revenue base, were able to leverage the aforementioned increases in other revenue sources and realize the greatest gains in net operating income during 2014. Given the lag in the recovery of group demand, convention hotels lagged in profit growth, but still achieved a nice 9.2% rise in profits for the year. All other property types enjoyed double-digit growth in profits in 2014. One potential threat to hotel profitability stood out. In 2014, total operating expenses for the hotels in our sample, or XPAR, increased at an inflation-adjusted real rate of 3.2%. This is greater than the expense growth observed during the initial years of the current recovery cycle and the latter years of the last decade. Further investigation of the expense data reveals that U.S. hotel operators were able to effectively manage those costs for which they have the most control. Measured on a dollar per occupied room basis, real XPAR growth was just 0.2% in 2014. This indicates that the main drivers of expense growth were items associated with the increase in business volume or occupied rooms. We are currently at such high occupancy levels that all of a hotel's fixed costs are covered. For the next few years, it will be inflation and variable expenses that will cause increases in XPAR. Labor is the single largest cost that hotel managers need to control. In 2014, the national unemployment rate dropped to 6.2%, which contributed to a 3.6% increase in the average hourly compensation rate for workers in the U.S. hospitality industry. Unlike previous years, a significant increase in salary and wages contributed to the rise in overall labor costs, not just the employee benefits component. Facing the pressure of rising compensation, hotel managers controlled labor costs by managing the hours worked by employees. Despite the 3% increase in the number of rooms occupied, the number of hours worked at the average property rose by just 0.6%, thus indicating increases in employee productivity. There are some expenses that hotel managers have less control over, and it appears that these costs dominated the increase in XPAR during 2014. For example, the combined cost of credit card commissions, franchise fees, and management fees increased by 6.5%. Since we are in a period of significant revenue and profit growth, it is not surprising that we are seeing a surge in these costs. Examples of other less controllable expenses that influence the rise in XPAR are such items as the cost of goods sold and utilities. The increases in the amount paid by hotel managers for certain food items and utilities are consistent with the rise in the national indices for these commodities. Looking forward, hotel operators will face a variety of tailwinds and headwinds when it comes to controlling expenses. On the one hand, low inflation and a slowdown in the increase of occupied rooms will help curb growth in both fixed and variable expenses. On the other hand, Growth in employment levels will continue to put upward pressure on salaries and wages, and revenue and profit growth will cause increases in credit card commissions, franchise fees, and management fees. Fortunately, the positive outlook for the economy and the U.S. lodging industry should result in revenue growth exceeding expense growth for the foreseeable future. The current streak of double-digit growth in profits should extend through 2016. This 6-year period of continuous double-digit gains on the bottom line will be the longest such streak for the nation's hotels since PKF began tracking the industry in 1937. By all measures, we are in a period of persistent prosperity at the peak of the current lodging industry business cycle. To purchase a copy of the 2015 Trends Report, please visit our web store at store.pkfc.com. I thank you for your time.
PKF Hospitality Research and PKF Consulting USA have joined the CBRE Hotels family and have come together to provide a single global source for real estate services and research for the hospitality industry.